literally, I will walk into the gym and find people laying down in the grass and just looking up at the trees and the birds. And, it's like now people are feeding cats around and, touching the grass and just really getting in touch. I have a lemon tree, basil, a banana tree. People would finish the workout and go chop off a banana and eat it as their post-workout. Where can you get that? So it is, as I said, I found myself when I realized what I'm offering people is not just fitness. We're not here just to lose some fat and build a great booty. Yeah, we could do that, but why don't we just enjoy and open up to everything else that can be offered? And I'm just that kind of person. I realize that I travel a lot. I'm always in nature. I've traveled to Bali. I have done fitness getaways on a boat in the beach. So I've always been this nature person, and I find it that it motivates me. It refreshes me. It allows me to come back stronger and better. So I said, this is the environment that I would like to stay in, and I'm just going to do it, and I will hopefully attract people that are on the same wavelength. And so far, it's been great.
At Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym.
Everybody starts with the best case scenario in mind.
Never sell anything to anybody who is not in the market for what you have.
The only reason we work out is to create the opportunity to recover.
And the healthcare provider of the future is the coach.
And this is why you guys need to get paid well, because what you're doing is really, really hard work.
Yasmine Hassan, welcome to the Active Life Podcast. Hello. I love, people won't be able to see this if they're listening in their car or on a podcast app, but I love the background behind you right now. It looks like you're in like a tropical jungle.
I actually planted it all by myself.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
And I have zones where there's the cactus area, and then there's the banana area, and then I have all the produce. So I have my, all the mint leaves and the basil, peppers, things like that.
I think most of the people who I talk to, if they said I planted all that myself, I'd be like, no, you didn't. Nothing about the fact that you planted that yourself surprises me. How long have you been where you are?
I was born and raised here, and
but when did you plant that stuff?
Oh, so I've planted it. It's been about 6 months now,
and
7 months.
It grew that much already?
Yes, actually, everyone that comes and visits is like, my garden isn't like that. But I really genuinely believe it's because I love it so much. I literally come out and I pet the plants every day, give my morning coffee.
Okay, so I want to give people a picture if they're listening to this on their phone so they can know what I'm looking at. So behind Yasmine are, what are those, 12 feet tall, those bushes?
Yeah.
So she's in you're in like a wonderland surrounded by beautiful green.
Ones.
Well, what are those? What kind of hedges are those?
No, those are just those are called tree climbing plants. So you see, I'm just starting to take them up and kind of go up on that palm tree. Mm-hmm. And then the ones on the floor are just basic flowers. There's a banana tree. Those are hibiscus, the one that you can see at the top right there.
What are the tall ones that are cut off at the top that make the square of the backyard, like the privacy?
I guess green bushes. I have no idea. They're called something.
I'm going to have you, when you're allowed to travel again, I want you to come to New York, and you're going to do this in my backyard with whatever grows in our climate.
You want me to be your gardener, huh?
Yeah. I talk to my wife all the time about how we live in an area where our houses are kind of on top of each other. It's a desirable town in downstate New York, right by the beach. So my house is on a 60-foot by 97-foot property. And for where we live, that's actually a fairly big property, which is crazy. Yeah. Houses are on 30 by 60 lots. And I don't want to look at my next door neighbor's air conditioning unit. And I don't want my next door neighbor looking at me when I'm in the backyard.
Absolutely.
I haven't decided if I want to have clothes on or not yet. So I need that kind of privacy hedging. So I'm going to just bring you out. I'm sure you have nothing else to do. And you'll come out and just play in my backyard.
Dig away. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll do that.
Thank you. So I already told the audience why I wanted to have you on, why I am so impressed with you. So my first question for you, Yasmine, is Do you remember when you decided, I want to be entrepreneurial in a culture where being a female entrepreneur is not necessarily something that's celebrated? Because that's not a normal thing to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember there were a few different triggers, but if we go back a little bit, I didn't necessarily know I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I most definitely knew I wanted to walk away from architecture, which is what I spent 6 years studying and then 3 years of practicing. So that was a total of 9 years. And that was very difficult for me to kind of just throw away, let's say. And when I came back and I moved here, we have this thing culturally, which is, when you're a doctor or you're an engineer or an architect, so you're kind of like high end. Back then, fitness, specifically where I am in Saudi Arabia, was not a huge thing. And they would kind of fly in expats of, let's say, second and third world countries to come and do fitness. And the only fitness that was being provided was actually in schools. So it was kind of like PE, physical ed, which we never took seriously anyways. It was like the time where we'd go and, sneak out and play around. So it was never looked as an important field to pursue. So going against the odds and saying that, I want to throw away architecture or at least put it on the side and follow my passion for something that I think might work out in a very strict country. That was definitely my starting point, and that was definitely challenging. Fast forward a few years where I realized that I had not only the passion for it, but I had the talent for it. So I was accepted by the community. I was accepted by, the people that were attending in the gyms. And I felt that I had an edge. And I think this is where you just have to follow your gut or your instinct, because that's all I had. We had no certifications, no schools, no other trainers that could, put me on the first path or anything. And it was all YouTube when I first started.
I think you have the talent for anything that you want to do. So let me start there. Can you give people a little bit more of what you're describing when you talk about you're in Saudi Arabia? I'm not in the intro. I didn't talk about Yasmine is from Egypt, lives in Saudi Arabia. I didn't give them that kind of background. So would you give some of that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I am Egyptian, that is in Africa. And I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, throughout the years growing up, it was everything was separated. So the guys would, the men would be alone, the females would be alone. There was no mixing. We couldn't drive. We had to, kind of always cover up. It was an all-female school that I went to, and the universities here are still like that up until today. Gyms and any entertainment, let's say luxury, was kind of frowned upon. So that was tough, just being brought up in that environment. But I was lucky enough to live in a compound, which are kind of gated communities that would allow us to live a somewhat normal life. I would meet with other expats that, from all over the world. My neighbor was an American, and even going out, we would have to kind of go into the consulates, which are like embassies or consulates, and that's where we were able to kind of live a normal childhood. But that is not the common situation. That was not the common situation growing up in Saudi Arabia. Fast forward to, where MBS, which is, now the Crown Prince, Hamad bin Salman, he's the one now who has, paved the way for everyone in Saudi, females in particular, to kind of get out of that shell, to empower them, allow females to travel, to own property, to work, to drive, all that kind of stuff. But this only happened within the last, let's say, 3 years. Mm-hmm. So it's been quite a long journey.
Yeah,
Gyms in particular. Sorry,
I was going to say he's an interesting character who's done a lot of really good things and a lot of things that people question. I don't want to get into that, but it's interesting that this has affected you this way. Keep going.
Absolutely, yes. But I must give it at least to, if it weren't for this change, we wouldn't be where we are today. Because now everyone, we have gyms that are popping up everywhere. We have outdoor activities that are, females. Now you can walk out and see females that are actually jogging in the street, which was never allowed. Mm-hmm. So actually that is fantastic. It's great to see that happening. So yeah, back to my story where I decided to go to a gym. So all the gyms in Saudi Arabia were always underneath the bubble of hospitals or physiotherapists. So either you were injured and there was a clinic and right next to it a gym, or it was under a hospital. So there was no such thing as a gym. There were actually even no legal papers for you to go and get licensed as a gym, let alone an expat in Saudi Arabia. So that was most definitely a challenge. I started off just by giving a drop-in, like spinning classes or aerobics classes, step classes. This is back in like 2006. Whoa. And it started going from there, really. I was torn between going back to Egypt, where we kind of have our freedom. We have a normal life over there, but overly populated and kind of just stressful in other aspects of life. I was doing that for a while, ping-ponging between Saudi Arabia and Egypt, Saudi Arabia. And then I decided to move here to stay with my family a little bit. And this is when I really started to focus and realize that there's a lot of potential in Saudi Arabia to work in this field and, educate myself and educate the people around me. Because it was so difficult and, let's say, not accessible to everyone, people were hungry. Females were hungry like crazy because that was their only way out. And I'm not talking like they needed to come out for fitness and take care of their bodies. That was not even an option back then. People just needed to get out of home. Mm-hmm. And to them, that was like sitting in a cafe, only they were allowed to wear sexy clothes because now comes the fitness clothes.
Right. You can't see the air quotes that Yasmine threw up on the screen.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just a body language.
Yeah. You said sexy clothes with air quotes because I imagine that you would describe what they're wearing as not so sexy. It was just not fully covered.
Yeah, we had to cover up. Right. Every time you step outside of the house in Saudi Arabia, as a female, you need to cover up. You wear like a black dress and you would wear whatever you want underneath that. But that was the cultural, the official dress code for all females in Saudi. So the fact that we can go somewhere and take that off and just show what we're wearing was in itself exciting.
Well, what made you decide you wanted to stop being an architect, which is a celebrated profession, where you were female in a country where you're not necessarily preferentially treated because you weren't a native Saudi? You had, by all means, already achieved all of the success that most people want to achieve in that country, and you gave it up. Why?
Well, because of the lifestyle that came with it, to be honest. The first part, it started creeping in on me when I was kind of drowning in an office up until 6 p.m., sitting behind a laptop, forward head posture all day long, just trying to work on AutoCAD. That was the first thing. The second thing, when I got into this field, I actually thought I was going to become this awesome designer like Zaha Hadid. And reality was I was nothing like that. I was getting the designs from the big architects, and I just had to like trim away and do all the donkey work on the laptop. And that was really frustrating me.
Was that just a time thing though? Was it that your career would have gotten you to doing that?
It could have had I stayed. I mean, probably, because I definitely believe that hard work pays off regardless, whatever field you choose. But I didn't have the passion for it. There's also another aspect that I still, up until today, dislike very much, and that is contracting. Working with contractors, subcontractors, and making sure that design comes to life. There's a lot of obstacles and stress just dealing with, the workers, making sure the electricity, the whatever, the structural part of it. And that was stressing me out like crazy. I would transform into the sister.
Okay. So,
And then after I would finish my working hours of the office, it was me time to go to the gym. And this is when I realized I was just a different person. I was happier. I was mingling with people. I loved working out. I would go home and write down the workouts on a piece of paper, on a Kleenex. And I would go home and do them in front of the mirror just so I can memorize them.
and when did you decide that you were going to try to open your own gym? Because your gym ownership story is not typical, and I want to get into it.
I only owned a gym. It's been now 2 years. So this is very recent. Prior to that, I was working out of several different gyms. I was kind of freelancing my way around, dropping into sessions. And then I decided that I was going to rent a small space within a boutique style gym and just, set up my own place over there, kind of rent it out and bring my own people. And that was the like a stepping stone where I realized that, okay, I need to have my own space and run things the way that I think need to be run for clients.
So this sounds very familiar to another podcast we had a few months ago with a friend of mine named Karina Mello. I don't know if you've heard it or not, but that's okay. She started renting space in somebody else's facility, and her popularity grew where she's like, I can't keep renting space here. I need my own location. This isn't going to continue working. So is that kind of what you were up against, and then it was time for you to start moving somewhere else?
The main reason that I realized I need to go somewhere else is because I had really developed myself as a coach, and I started looking into other aspects and not just the fitness itself. And I think this is where it was such a huge turning point. I was so upset about the customer journey. I wanted people to walk in from the beginning of entering that gym until they came into the area that I was coaching them. I wanted to live a certain experience and kind of prepare themselves in a way, be greeted in a specific way, log things in a specific way. And none of that was being offered by the boutique gym that I was working out of. And I think this is where, I started having some clashes with the staff that were working there. And this is when it was an eye-opener. We're not aligned. They just don't have that extra bit. They just didn't have that vision. And I realized, that this is not going to kill it for my clients. I definitely want to give them the full package.
Right.
And started imagining, if I designed a space, how would it look like? How would it feel like? What would the person, go through so that they could really prep for that workout or that session or that consult or that in-body, whatever it was. And this is how I came up with, I need to find somewhere else.
Well, and then something that I think people listening to this probably aren't aware of, because I wasn't aware when you first told me this, you can't just go on roguefitness.com and buy whatever you want.
Oh, no.
So what did you do?
We had no, let's say, outlets or shops or whatever that would sell you any kind of equipment, let alone CrossFit-ish equipment. None of that. The only fitness store that we had up until very, very recently was Techno Gym and Cybex. Yeah. So you walk into any gym, think of a global gym setup, all the big machines, all the treadmills and ellipticals. And because the gyms here would buy that and set it up this way, then customers or consumers knew nothing but that. To her, coming to the gym meant walking on a treadmill and chit-chatting with her friend. That was it.
Right. So for people who don't know, Techno Gym is a high-end Italian fitness equipment maker who everything they do is either pin loaded or powered. I think they have one treadmill now that's not powered, but that's a new development for them, and they're really not in the high training age clientele market. No.
Yeah, and they were so powerful in the market here because they worked with all the big names, all the big, facilities, Gold Gym, all the spa based fitness gyms that came out of hotels and things like that. And anyone that wanted to open up a gym would immediately go to them. and they would go to them. And this is funny, because me as a techno gym, let's say owner or salesperson, my goal is to sell maximum equipment, right? So I'm just going to look at your layout and put as many treadmills as I can in there without really thinking of a space layout, basic comfort for people, how to maximize, make sure that all the muscle groups are, let's say, covered within that, arena. None of that was taken into account. And that was killing me as a coach.
Well, so you told me that you tapped into your architecture skills.
Yeah. So after that, exactly, when I rented that space, I realized, okay, let's see, how can I do this? I went and spoke with the owner of the boutique gym, and I said, this strip, I want to rent it out because I have a specific design that I want to come up with. And she said, yeah, sure, send me the stuff. And that was a rig. Now, this is like maybe in around 2009, 2010, something like that. And everything that happens in the US happens in Saudi Arabia like 10 years later. So when I show her a rig or tell her about CrossFit, she has no idea what that is. And we're coming from a techno gym, high-end luxury, all wooden floors and mirrors all around. And suddenly I want to put the steel structure in her gym.
So women were allowed to go to the gym in 2009?
Yes.
Okay. So
they were still under hospitals or physiotherapy centers.
Okay.
It was not like a gym.
Right.
And she refused. She said, this is so ugly. I'm not going to put that in my gym. And it was a tough one for sure. It was a struggle. It was a, back and forth. And I said, finally, you know what? I'm going to pay you the rent, even if I get no people. Just give me that spot and forget about it. And it was also outdoors. Now, I want you to know that in Saudi Arabia, the heat reaches up to 40 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but
I'll Google it for you.
Yeah. This is like on a regular summer day. We don't have winter here, really.
About 104.
Yeah. And mind you, people didn't love fitness that much, so back then.
I don't need to work out in 104-degree heat. I'm not trying to get that fit.
I have a treadmill inside with a TV screen, and I can chit chat to my friends. So why do I need to do that?
Well, how'd you get the equipment if Rogue doesn't send it? You told me that you
I went to the workshop.
Right.
I used my architecture side. Yes, I drew everything on paper, and I found a welder. I had to, hop through a few different welders, and please understand, most of them do not speak English or Arabic. They are mostly from Bangladesh, so that was a very difficult communication process. And I would go to the workshop, which is also very uncommon and frowned upon here. What do you mean, a female going to a workshop? It's do some steel structure. But I did it, and we set it up, and that was the first, I'm pretty sure that was the first rig that was set up in Saudi Arabia.
I imagine it was, considering that you had to go tell them exactly how big the holes should be, where the holes should be, and you taught them how to build J-hooks too.
But I made mistakes. The first rig, it didn't even have a rack because I didn't even know. I wasn't even there yet. I forgot to think about racking the bar. I could even send you pictures just for you to laugh about it. And then I would rack the bar on I'd get boxes and then get those two parallel bars and put them on top, and then it was a full on,
Please send me pictures. I would love to see pictures.
Laugh it out. Yeah, and this is where it started. And I obviously didn't call it CrossFit. People had no idea what CrossFit was anyways. And then I started ordering equipment, and the very first CrossFit class, I had to fly out to Dubai, which is a neighboring country. I attended a CrossFit session there, and I decided to buy 2 bumper plates, and I had no barbell, 2 bumper plates, I remember so well, and chalk. And my parents were like, what is this? Wow, why? What do you even need that for? And chalk and agility ladders. Those were my first things that I ever bought. And I flew them back here in my suitcase. Those 2 bumper plates, I wouldn't even throw them on the floor because I was so worried they would crack, right? Because I had no other ones. And I only stayed with 10-pound plates for a year, for example. My strength never improved, but I didn't care. I was so happy. They looked so fancy and different from everything else that people were using. And yeah, this is where, my journey started, and there was no looking back. Everyone that came in saw that the space was different, the design was different, the idea of it being outdoor suddenly became, appealing to everyone. Mentally, they were getting stronger. Mentally, they were opening up to new ideas, and it was fantastic. It has been fantastic.
Well, and so then you tried to move, yeah?
Yeah.
So one of the big reasons I wanted to interview you is because of your grit. We talk to people all the time who are struggling, or they go through something a little bit difficult and then they quit. And I thought that it'd be really valuable for people to hear about what you had to go through just to get to even. So what happened when you tried to move?
Well, before moving, let me tell you about all the challenges. I guess maybe people don't understand how difficult that was. It was challenging because there were gyms in the beginning when I was kind of freelancing around. There were gyms, most of the gyms only cared about selling an X amount of membership. And if I had certain basic safety rules, like you cannot work out in your flip-flops, and I would ask someone to leave the session and come back when they had the right shoes on, I was immediately dismissed from this gym because the client is always right. And it doesn't matter, she doesn't need to wear her shoes. So that was the first challenge that I had. It was not easy being accepted and just kind of portraying that you had some knowledge above others. So that was one thing. And then getting certified. Nothing was available here. I consistently had to, self finance that. I consistently had to fly out all the time, always YouTubing up until late night, trying to just understand what is going on, kind of work myself around anatomy. Coming from an architect background, that was all like gibberish. It was very difficult for me. And my parents, again, were like, why are you putting yourself through all this, just so that you can go teach some people how to jump jack? Because that's how people perceived it, right? I'm like, no, that's not what I'm doing. Right. One day I'll get it. I'll get there. So that was another challenge. As I said, people were not coming to work out. And when I started understanding that, I want to offer people a lifestyle change and changing, everything around their life, it was not perceived easily because people wanted to just come and chit chat at the gym and leave. And I was looked upon as the tough and mean trainer. But I wasn't. I just really wanted to direct you to what fitness was really all about, Right. So that was another challenge. It was very difficult. And I could have just packed up and went back to Egypt because fitness in Egypt is huge. Right. And I could have just really made it there. But I still see so much potential in this country. And I feel like I owe it to the people around me here because I grew up here and I don't want the kids growing up being deprived from basic, human movement and health. Moving on into that gym, after I started setting up that space and things started going nice, the gym owners started realizing how much potential there was in that setup. And they started kind of taking over that space of mine. So let's assume I had a session from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. I would come in there, I would go there, and I would see another coach in there. And I'm like, but what do you mean? We have a session. Oh, we're going to have to figure out a new agreement. But I've been here for like 5 years and no one even wanted to come out in this heat. Yeah, but things are changing now. And this is where it was like, okay, I have no power because I'm not Saudi. I cannot own a business here as an entrepreneur. I need to find another Saudi partner that would come in with me on that. And that was definitely frustrating and kind of also a dead end because no matter what I do, no matter what I invest, I kind of have to put my trust into another person. And, even family fight when finances are in the equation. So how am I going to do that? That was a tough one for sure. And someone came up to me and said, my brother-in-law has a private compound that has a private space that you can rent out and start from scratch. And I said, yes, let's do that. I'm in because I was so frustrated with this gym. I was not able to provide fully what I wanted because I was so angry. And I went into this business with this other person. And I kid you not, on the day of my soft opening, we were calling the police.
Again, with each other.
Yeah.
Well, and you filled the place with equipment, yes?
I did everything.
On your dime?
Yes.
Okay, and then what happened?
Set up everything. I spent everything from my pocket. I designed everything. I actually had taken people's money for their gym memberships. So everything was there. And then soft opening. So soft opening, let's say, was at 5 p.m. At 12 noon, we were calling police.
About what?
About some misunderstanding where some of the residents of this compound already had filed a complaint from the noise. I said, what do you mean? We haven't even functioned yet. Oh, the drilling bothered them. I said, yeah, but from day one, I said this was going to be a gym and this is a female only gym. We had male residents that were kind of overlooking the place, and they were upset about the noise. So they said the only solution would be to kind of cover up and put a ceiling with insulation there with a price tag that would cost me an arm and a leg.
Right.
That was not in our contract. And since this guy filed a complaint, why was this not mentioned to me, much earlier? Anyways, long story short, maybe they just liked it and wanted to take it. I have no idea up until this day.
Well, so what happened then? What was the ending there?
The ending was there were lawyers involved. There was a case going on, and this kept kind of going back and forth for about 8 months, and then finally I got my money back, but I lost the whole gym.
So you got the money that you put into the equipment, but all the work that you did to source it, to get it set up, all that gone.
Bye-bye. Yes.
And there's nothing you can do about it because you're not Saudi.
Absolutely. There you go. You're catching on.
I understand. So
nothing, zero rights.
Right. So why keep going at it? It's when I talk to people in the United States or in the United Kingdom, the United States and Europe, there's different laws, different situations, similar problems. And they run into these issues of, I don't know how to get people to come and work out with me. I've been trying for a few months. It's not working. I'm going to leave. Or they're a coach in somebody else's gym. And they say, oh, this person won't pay me enough money, and I don't want to have to sell training sessions and programming and get members to come in to make a living, so it's not fair. I'm quitting. And I constantly look at them and I'm just like, you haven't even struggled yet. You haven't even struggled yet. You can't quit until you've struggled. You have struggled for a decade. Yeah. And in a real way, like it's not just about the money. It's not just about the time even. It's about the energy, the inspiration, the hope, the work that goes into the investment of personal equity, not money, personal, like my identity is this. And then it's just gone. There's nothing that you can do about it. And you constantly turn around and say, well, I'll do something different then in the same way. Why stay at it? Why stay at it in Saudi Arabia? There's so many other options for you.
There are, definitely. I've turned down a lot of, let's say, seductive options, but a big part of it is me just being at peace and understanding that every single struggle kind of makes me grow into a much bigger person with more experience. And if I had everything nice and easy, I wouldn't be that person who I am today. I'm very happy. I'm very proud of this journey. I would probably do it all over again. And I would study architecture all over again, even if I didn't use it.
Why?
Because it has added things to me as a person and as a coach. And one of the things, for example, now when I'm looking at alignment and movement, I look at it from an architect's perspective. I just have an eye for things, a posture, alignment, let's do it that way, the creativity of trying to, make things work. I would have never built my own rig if I didn't have an architecture background, because I would have never thought of it, Mm-hmm. So I most definitely think it has added to who I am today. Today I own my own gym, and this morning I was just building the new room in that gym.
Do you have a Saudi partner?
No, now I don't, but I have managed with all the new rules in Saudi Arabia and all the opening up of things have become easier.
Okay.
And now I live in a compound, which is that gated community. And I managed to work a deal with the managers or the owners over here, because now fitness is trending in Saudi Arabia and everyone wants to have fitness around. And I would have never dreamt of a better setup for me. I live in my own studio. I go to work, on a bicycle, 7 minutes, and I'm at the gym. And if I would have even gone to Egypt or this, I would have never been that perfect setup for me. So I've struggled a lot, but I'm in a place where I'm very, very happy right now. So I can't really complain. I would have been bummed if I just left this. I knew this was at the end of the table and I just left and went somewhere else,
So are all of the members of your gym members of the compound? Do they all live in the...
No, I've managed to work a deal. And the only reason I tell you I've managed to work a deal is because I've struggled so much with all the people before trying to work out deals that now I've become so good at it. Okay, well, I'll give you this in return of that. So I've got better negotiation skills. I've managed to provide a really good training environment for the compound residents, which is something that is very close to my heart because I grew up in this compound. So I feel like I'm giving back to the community. I'm helping women around me. And I also now bring people from outside. The beauty of that is that there are no other outdoor gyms in Saudi Arabia. So now this was the first pure outdoor gym that has this tropical environment that is also in my gym. And people come in and, wow, this place is different. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what I want to offer people. I want people to forget about the concrete walls, the laptops they've been staring at all day long, all the fights that are happening with their kids at home, and just come, stay with nature, get in touch, and have a good workout and leave.
So you create this tropical environment that people get to work out in, which has to be so unique and so refreshing, because we're so used to being surrounded by technology and by structure and by people that we don't get to be in nature. And then you take them and have them work on their fitness in an environment that is naturally occurring.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like it was an accident. Like, you obviously did that on purpose. That was how you planned it.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why outside though? You're still in Saudi Arabia. It's still 104 degrees in the summer.
Yeah. But the gains are so much more. It's so much more worth it. That the way I calculate it is, someone's going to come and stay at the gym, let's say for 90 minutes. Well, maybe I can coach them to become mentally stronger, to accept the heat or humidity or whatever it is. That part is doable, but I can't teach them how to, literally I will walk into the gym and find people laying down in the grass and just looking up at the trees and the birds. And, it's like now people are feeding cats around and, touching the grass and just really getting in touch. I have a lemon tree, basil, a banana tree. People would finish their workout and go chop off a banana and eat it as their post-workout. Where can you get that? So it is, as I said, I found myself when I realized what I'm offering people is not just fitness. We're not here just to lose some fat and build a great booty. Yeah, we could do that, but why don't we just enjoy and open up to everything else that can be offered? And I'm just that kind of person. I realize that I travel a lot. I'm always in nature. I've traveled to Bali. I have done fitness getaways on a boat in the beach. So I've always been this nature person, and I find it that it motivates me. It refreshes me. It allows me to come back stronger and better. So I said, this is the environment that I would like to stay in, and I'm just going to do it, and I will hopefully attract people that are on the same wavelength. And so far it's been great. People come in skeptical about the heat and about, some ants or some mosquitoes or things like that. And after a while, they're planting trees in this space and it feels like home. And now I've actually set up a very small indoor room that's all glass, so you can look at the view of the beautiful garden. And people were sad. They're like, we got used to all the sweat and humidity. Why are you putting an AC now? I said, oh, that's not for you. That's for the senior clients, you know?
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So do you have help at the gym, or are you doing this all by yourself?
I do everything by myself. Every single thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I remember when we first started, I told you about being burnt out.
Yes.
I do understand it's a lot. But I can't. I just have this passion of consistently trying to offer more, do more. Let's explore this. Let's explore that. So now I want to explore providing fitness for senior females in Saudi Arabia, because no one's catering to them. And with fitness booming and exploding and all the gyms are popping up, no one has thought of that. And again, I want to take that challenge, and it's challenging.
I imagine.
Training my mom has been like, shoot me now. You know? Oh my God.
Well, so why not hire?
Why not hire? I've tried. I'm not going to lie to you. I've tried, but given the background that I've told you, it's very difficult to find the perfect fit of someone that is aligned with you know, where I want this to go and what I'm really trying to offer. I'm not here trying to sell like 1,000 memberships a month. This is definitely not my goal. If I could just serve 10 people and I'm super happy to keep them and genuinely feel that they are happy and they will give me some referrals, I'm happy with that.
Is there enough money? Is there money in that though?
Yes.
So those 10 people are paying you enough money that it makes it worthwhile.
Hold on. I don't have 10 clients, but I'm just explaining.
I understand. I understand.
A little bit more. But yes. I'm very blessed to say that, you know, I'm, you know, financially stable and that. But I will, because I've tried, right? With architecture, I was probably making a lot more money, but I was very miserable, very, very miserable. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it. I also have online clients, so that also helps me pay the bills. So without, you know, having to serve a lot of clients in person.
Are your online clients Middle Eastern based, or are they from around the world?
No, I have several people from around the world and Middle Eastern based as well.
And do you ever wonder what you'd be able to do if you were functioning in Europe or in the United States? The reason I'm asking that is just because I find you specifically to be so impressive. And I think that somebody who's been through all of the trials and tribulations and difficulties that you've been through, you've built resilience, you've built grit to be able to figure things out. In a society where things are set up for you to have all of the opportunities, should you put the work in, and I know that there are issues everywhere. You understand what I'm describing.
Yeah.
It would probably be much easier for you.
It would. But I'm not necessarily attracted to easy. Mm-hmm. It's now, it just doesn't attract me anymore. You know, oh, this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be some hard work. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. And now I've learned to detach really quick. So if something doesn't work out, move on. I've learned that through the years, and I love it.
What do you love about it?
I love the fact that a big part of me understands that nothing is forever. Nothing. We are not even here forever. Now I'm going to get a little philosophical on you.
Do it.
But, you know, nothing is forever. And everything, in my personal belief, everything is meant to serve a certain purpose and meaning for a certain time. And then something else will happen. And you're just going to have to accept that with everything. Everything has a positive and negative. Yes, I could be somewhere else, but I'm going to be away from home or away from my culture, which I am deeply grounded to. And I don't want that. I also understand that being here is not allowing me to have the complete freedom that I would like to. But there are a lot of benefits here. I'm around people that I love. I speak the language, my first language, which is Arabic, which I love very much. I'm a practicing Muslim, so it's easy for me to do that here. And as I said, people here are hungry for this. People are hungry for fitness. You know, if I go to Europe, people have been doing fitness since grade 1, you know?
Mm-hmm. So it's a different hard. It's a different hard. The hard there, is doing something that other people aren't doing in a way that other people would be interested in doing it. And the hard where you are is everything around women only being able to do this for 3 years publicly. It's, if you're going to work with seniors, you're going to have to break a lot of beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So what is that going like? Have you started that yet?
I've started with referrals, which are mainly the mothers of clients that I already coach. So hopefully they are there to break the ice and, tell them about me, follow me on Instagram. They also seen me.
These seniors are on Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah.
You do have a pretty big following on Instagram, by the way. How did you manage that?
I think it just happened by luck or by chance. It all started because Instagram, when I first started it was when I had just moved back from Egypt, and I just wanted to stay in touch with my friends. Mm-hmm. And I think a big part of it is because I live a lifestyle that doesn't portray that I live in Saudi Arabia. So that was attractive to many people.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So a typical day would be me going out and kind of like riding my scooter and going to work and digging up some plants and stuff like that. And many people over here, sorry about that noise, and many people here are just sitting in basic apartments. They don't have that. They don't think that way. Or me going, let's say, on an adventure on a boat and diving. Now it's become popular, but back in the days it was not.
And where did you start learning how to do it? Did your parents do this? Did you just have friends in Egypt who were doing it? How did you?
Yes, it all started when I was in Egypt. So everything the lifestyle that I was living in Egypt, I tried so hard to maintain it when I came back here. I think that is what allowed me as well to keep my sanity and just keep going with what I'm doing, trying with that. My best friend in Egypt was going to work, on a bicycle, and she would just hop on the beach and give her boot camps. And when I first saw that coming from Saudi Arabia, where everyone is locked up in concrete walls, I was like, whoa, that is amazing. We don't even have to wear shoes. We don't even have to, and please understand that in Saudi Arabia, the culture here is all about like designer wear and luxury, and here we are doing fitness in sand and barefoot. I'm like, I want that lifestyle. So it's amazing. I love it. Think about like living in Florida, I guess.
I don't think it's like living in Florida. Have you been to Florida?
No, but I see a lot of pictures, and I see a lot of people that work out there.
You have similar plants. That may be it. Oh man, I don't think it's similar to Florida. So are you seeing, are people in Saudi Arabia coming to you to learn? Because I think the interesting thing about being the first person through the wall, there's an expression I like, which is the first person through the wall always gets a little bit bloody. And what that means is there's this wall and nobody has ever gone through it before. And it takes somebody going through it to help other people go through it. And in order for that person to go through it, they need to knock it down. They need to put a hole in it. And in order to put a hole in it, they get a little bit bloody. You're the person who went through the wall first in Saudi Arabia, got a little bit bloody, and now you're on the other side of the wall. And the hole is getting wider and wider and wider as more people come through it.
Yeah.
Are you finding people in Saudi Arabia coming to you, asking you questions? How did you do this? Why did you do this? What do I do?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. The amount of people that came up to me to ask for a rig, and if I could like give them a rig, I even thought about doing that as a side business.
Right.
No, I'm just going to go to the workshop and do rigs all day long. The amount of people that asked me about, how I set up my gym, how did I do this, what certifications did I take is unreal. Now, everyone is catching up, which is fantastic. It's beautiful because the competition allows us to stand out even more, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Because now they have something to compare to.
Yes.
Which is such
That's one thing.
which is such an abundance mindset, by the way, because most people would say, I don't want any competition. But when you came from a world where there was no competition, it was, well, this is what people know. So they expect this, and this isn't what it's supposed to be.
No.
So
no.
keep going. I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I found that so interesting.
Absolutely. No. I completely agree. The more competition, healthy competition, of course, the more people kind of relate, the more people understand, they can compare. Oh, you mean we're not even supposed to be just walking on the treadmill for fitness? Right. No, you're not supposed to, right? For example. Another thing is not just the competition, but now there's more injuries with so many gyms that are popping up, and understanding that those people don't have most of, not all, but let's say a lot of the trainers in the field. They don't have that background that goes all the way from 2006. And, because even you and I know that no two people that come in here with an injury are going to be fixed the same way. And it only happens when you really are on the field and you've been through hell trying to figure out, that didn't work, so let's try this. Everyone's unique and different. And that in itself has given me an edge up until today. People will come to me injured. Oh, I got injured in this gym doing that. Oh, I have this nagging knee pain that won't go away, and the doctor said to just take a painkiller and put a knee pad on it. What? That's not how we're going to fix it. So that as well has allowed me to really stand out, and I'm very happy and blessed for that.
And what education did you get to solve those problems?
So I've done everything and anything. I've traveled to the US. I got injured myself, actually. I think that was the biggest teacher for me prior to even taking any courses, because you take a course and you're reading and, and you're thinking about all this scapula stabilization stuff. And I'm like, once I see the client, I don't remember that stuff. I'm not going to sit and think of,
That's because you got to take our course. You need to take the active life coaching courses. That'll be different for you. That'll be different for you.
And then just being injured by me and the journey of hell that I had to go through, because if we had no proper fitness here, then we sure as hell had no proper healthcare that bridged the gap between injuries and fitness. Right? You go to a doctor, they would say, get some rest, avoid squatting. Yeah, but I can't. I won't. I don't want to. So this is slowly changing. If
it makes you feel any better, and I don't know that it should, we're not good at that in the United States either. We have fitness and we have healthcare, and the gap between them, in my opinion, is larger than needs are felt. Because what happens is this: somebody goes to see a physical therapist, which is supposed to be the gap, right? They're supposed to bridge that gap between the orthopedic surgeon who's giving the shots and the medication and the gym. But the physical therapist, generally speaking, there are exceptions to the rule. Generally speaking, they take somebody until they can live a pain-free life. And then the patient might say something like, well, I want to go back to the gym and do things the way I was doing them before. And they'll say, well, ease back into it. What does that mean? What does ease back into it mean? I got hurt doing that thing before. Even if I ease back into it perfectly, eventually, if I do the same things I was doing before, I'm going to end up in the same situation I am now. And then what happens is the physical therapist will tell the person, well, stop training like that.
Yeah.
So it's not different enough. It needs to be. It needs to be badly. That's what we're working on in Active Life. We want to be that solution. But good on you. Good on you for being it there. We need it here badly too.
Yeah, I think we need it everywhere, I guess. But yes, it's and it's becoming a lot more common, as we said, with more gyms, with more fitness, with more activities. People come into the gym and I'll say, do you have any injuries that I should know about? And they'll say no. And then guess what? 6 weeks down the training line, something shows up. Right. It was probably there. You just never really stressed your body or used it in a way that would kind of show that you had this issue.
Yeah. It's the idea that, like, if you had a sprained knee and you were sitting on a couch, you might not know that you have a sprained knee. But if you get off the couch, now you feel it. Did you sprain your knee getting off the couch? No. It took getting off the couch to know.
Yeah. And one more thing I'd like to add is just with COVID and the lockdown, the amount of people now that are using social media and following people and doing their own fitness at home has also increased a lot of injuries. A lot. All people had to do was run. People running all over the place. Most of those people are not made to run or not fit to run yet, you know.
Right. Or don't know how.
Or don't know how to run. Or it's become the number one way of fat loss. Run.
Which is not, I mean, we can go on for days about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's great. For me, I'm happy because then once you show them that there are other ways to do this, you don't need to pound your body. You can take care of yourself. You can just lay down and breathe in the grass and have some birdies, you know, here in the garden.
I want to come work out in the garden.
Please do.
I want to come work out in the garden. I also, like I said, we can wrap this thing up like we did in the beginning. I want you to come to my home and build a garden in my backyard so that I can have my backyard look like yours.
I actually have a hammock in the gym.
Is that where you coach from?
It's not where I coach from, but this is where people that come in and I feel they're stressed or they're not feeling well, I'll say, go lay down on the hammock.
Right. So to be clear, you're not laying in the hammock, eating a banana and then saying, squat a little bit lower over there.
No. I'm the one who's like sitting there, you know, cleaning up and make sure the equipment is all in place.
Yeah. Do you have any U.S. trips planned?
I definitely hope so soon once we are allowed to travel and get out. The last time I was in the US, I was in Colorado. I went for my first snowboarding experience. It was fantastic.
That must have been wild.
I've never seen snow. It was my first touching snow. It was crazy, you know. And then I got into snowboarding, loved it, and realized I need to do this more often. Just waiting up for you know, COVID. I don't know, how are things at your end with COVID? Is that over now?
I wouldn't say it's over in New York. So there are parts of the United States where it never happened.
Okay.
It happened, but you know, we have a client, for example, in Oklahoma, when we started to go through, this is what we do with gyms for COVID preparation. He was like, don't worry about it. Nobody here is paying attention to that. And so, okay. Right. I mean, we have a client in Missouri, same thing. And they're big states. So it could be that part of that state. There are parts of New York probably that are the same, but the way that voting works in the United States, it follows belief lines. And so different states are going to have very different responses to the same information.
Okay.
In New York, we were one of the strictest lockdown states and one of the slowest states to come out of lockdowns. Now New York is back to fairly normal. It feels fairly normal here. There's still just that undercurrent of people who are still wearing their masks in their cars with the windows open by themselves. And it's like the people have been scarred by this. Right? So we can travel interstate. That's not a problem at all anymore. I believe we can even travel internationally. There are probably some places that are restricted. I don't know. And then there are countries that won't let us in. But other than that, in the United States, life is back to fairly normal. From my experience, the thing that's still weird is like when you go to a restaurant and the server still to wear a mask. I'm like, why are you still wearing a mask? It doesn't make any sense to me. And it keeps.
So you don't need to wear a mask unless other, you know.
Well, I think something like 70% of New Yorkers have been vaccinated.
Okay.
And wherever people's beliefs fall in the vaccine, that allowed. The government locally decided, okay, if you're vaccinated, if we have this much vaccination, we're not going to restrict behavior anymore. And so that was effectively what happened. And now there are just places that are making decisions that they're still going to wear masks, or they're going to ask for vaccine proof. They're not going to ask for vaccine proof. So it's still a little bit weird.
So how do you show that you've been vaccinated? What is the proof?
You could use an app. There's an app that you can track your vaccine on, or there's a paper form, and you can just carry it around. Personally, I took a photograph of my paper because I would lose my paper, and nobody's ever asked to see it.
Okay.
And I understand.
Yeah, same here.
And you know, look, there are people who would be like, "You can't ask me; it's a violation of my privacy." I'm like, "Is that really the hill you want to?" That's the hill. That's where you draw the line. No one's ever asked me though, and I haven't had an issue with it.
Yeah. Same, I guess, same here. But we have to wear the masks still everywhere.
Yeah, well,
But we're getting vaccinated for sure, and the app. So I guess slowly but surely.
yeah.
But
Yasmine,
then again, one of the other benefits of having the outdoor gym.
yes. Yasmine, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? People can find me in my garden in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah. That is the city that I live in.
I meant online.
I was just joking with you.
I know, it's good.
Yeah, so I guess the best way to find me is through my Instagram. And there's my email also over there. And I don't know if I'm popular enough to be on Google if you searched me. I've never done that.
Well, the Instagram is at Yasmine Hassan, YasmineHassan. Yes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And you need to post on it more.
I definitely do. It's so tough. You see, it becomes actually draining after a while. Especially, I want to tell you, I've come to another realization. So starting my career, I thought Instagram was the most important thing for me to get new clients. Right. So I used to always and consistently but now somewhere down the line, when you grow and you really realize what matters the most is kind of really putting the effort in working, in serving the clients that you already have. I don't even need that Instagram anymore. I'll post like once a week and I'm happy.
Right.
You know, I'm not even stressed about it. So I think it's part of the growth journey as well.
I think it's amazing. And I was joking when I said you need to post on it more. I think it's very cool that you're finding that you can achieve success without using it really at all. And yeah, too often people ask, how do I get more members? How do I get more clients? And I understand why. The answer is do a really good job with the ones that you have. Because most people have a list of members who've come through their business who are no longer there. And if they never lost them, they wouldn't need new members. They couldn't even fit new members. So
absolutely, I agree.
The answer lies in gardening more than hunting.
Yeah. You plant a seed. See, that's even something.
You plant a seed, and then you tell the plants how much you love them, and you spend time in the backyard, and you get a beautiful garden.
Absolutely. And then that person is a seed. And they're going to go back home to their family. And they're going to affect the people around them.
Yes.
Or they're going to go out for dinner. And then that seed is going to flourish and come back. So, yes, let's garden more.
Yasmine, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Sean. It was a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Active Life podcast. If you did, please be sure to head to wherever you listened to it and give us a quality review, as well as 5 stars if you can spare them. If you want more from us, feel free to follow all of our social media accounts at Active Life Professional, Active Life RX, and Dr. Sean Pastuch on Instagram. Remember, at Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym, and the healthcare provider of the future is the coach. We also believe that future is now.